Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through this one, because we're looking at a truly fascinating intersection of human anatomy, biomechanics, and daily routines. So let's just dive right into it. We're unpacking a really compelling thesis presented by Dr. Othman Jailan. His research zeroes in on natural kidney maintenance, specifically how to prevent kidney stones from forming. But what makes his approach so incredibly captivating is that it completely bypasses modern medical interventions. Instead, he looks at one specific physical posture to solve a surprisingly complex biological problem.
Now, what's really wild about this is the sheer boldness of the claim. Dr. Jailan is suggesting a completely free, natural way to prevent kidney stones, and it requires literally zero medicine. In a world where we usually just rush straight for prescriptions or, heavy clinical treatments the second something goes wrong, the source material here is proposing something entirely different. It suggests that a simple, zero-cost, daily physical movement could actually replace those clinic visits. It's a proactive approach to your kidney health, rather than just waiting around to react when it hurts.
To really understand how this free maintenance works, let's jump right into Section 1, Kidney Design and Gravity's Challenge.
Okay, so I want you to think of the human urinary tract and your kidneys specifically as this highly complex, incredibly delicate plumbing system. And just like the plumbing in your house, its success relies entirely on a continuous, uninterrupted flow of fluid, right? So the absolutely crucial detail here is this number, 7 to 12. Inside each of your kidneys, there are between 7 and 12 distinct basins. You can kind of picture these basins as tiny little biological funnels. Their main job is to collect urine right after your kidney has filtered it. Once the fluid gathers up in these 7 to 12 basins, it gets pushed down into the ureter, then heads to the bladder, and eventually makes its way out of the body.
So let's break down exactly why this matters for us. Our kidneys rely super heavily on this very precise collection system. Because these basins are acting as funnels for all that filtered fluid, keeping a constant, steady flow is basically mandatory to stop sediment from building up. If the fluid just sits there, or if it doesn't drain out properly, all those microscopic little particles left over from the filtration process, well, they start to settle. This foundational biology is brilliant, for sure, but as we're about to see, the way these basins are actually positioned across the top and bottom of the kidney introduces a really specific, kind of glaring mechanical vulnerability.
And that brings us right into Section 2, the lower basins crisis.
Take a second to think about the mechanical disadvantage happening inside your body right at this very moment. The contrast is just fascinating. The basins located up in the top part of your kidney have their openings facing downward. So what does that mean? It means they drain effortlessly. Gravity does literally all the work, pulling the fluid and any sediment straight down and out. But look at the lower basins. Because they sit way down at the bottom of the kidney, their openings face upward. They're basically shaped like little cups holding onto liquid. To drain, they actually have to push fluid up and out. They are directly fighting against the constant, heavy pull of gravity.
As you can guess, this creates a massive bottleneck. Because those lower basins simply cannot fully drain against the force of gravity, a little bit of fluid always gets left behind. And where fluid stagnates, sediment inevitably pools. Over time, all these microscopic mineral and salt deposits start accumulating. They harden up, and they turn into what we know as kidney stones. According to Dr. Jailan, this isn't just some random accident. It's practically an inevitable result of a biological design fighting an unwinnable war against gravity. At least while we're standing or sitting upright all day.
Which leads Dr. Jailan to pose this really fantastic problem-solving question. What posture actually reverses the lower basins to face downward? I mean, if standing upright turns your lower basins into little cups that trap sediment, how can we physically manipulate our own internal plumbing so that those bottom basins are suddenly up on top, letting gravity just naturally empty them out?
Well, that takes us directly into Section 3, the reverse engineering of Sujudb. Now we're looking at this strictly through the lens of biomechanics. Dr. Jailan views the physical posture of sujud, or prostration, not just in its traditional religious context, but as a literal mechanical inversion of the body's internal organ system. It's essentially reverse engineering the kidney's gravity problem. Let's walk step by step through exactly what happens internally when you do this. Step 1. When you lower your head below your torso during sujud, your kidney actually mechanically inverts. Step 2. Those vulnerable lower basins we were just talking about, they physically shift up into the higher position inside your body cavity. Step 3. This is the crucial part. The openings of those basins, which were previously facing straight up, are now facing directly downward. And finally, Step 4. Gravity takes over. Just like tipping over a cup, gravity naturally and completely effortlessly drains all that trapped fluid and accumulated sediment right out of those basins. It solves the gravity problem perfectly just by flipping the orientation.
And Dr. Jailan's thesis actually takes this a step further. It isn't just about the movement itself, it's about how long you stay there. Prolonging the prostration directly correlates with how much biological maintenance you're getting done. By hanging out in this inverted posture a bit longer, you're giving your body the time it needs to expel way larger amounts of that pulled sediment. The source even suggests that keeping up with this practice consistently gives your body a fighting chance to dissolve and flush out existing, smaller stones. So it's even a potential natural remedy for those who are already dealing with the early stages of this problem.
Let's zoom out a bit to look at the broader lifestyle implications in Section 4, free self-maintenance.
The real beauty of this biomechanical hack is that when you integrate it into a daily routine, it acts as periodic maintenance for your internal plumbing. Because it's a preventative measure, the goal is to completely eliminate the need for those frequent, super costly doctor visits. It requires absolutely zero medications, no prescriptions, and best of all, no weird side effects. Plus, it's completely accessible. You can do it literally anytime, day or night, whether that's right when you wake up, on your lunch break, or right before you go to sleep. It puts the power of preventative healthcare entirely in your own hands.
The source material introduces a really fascinating philosophical perspective here too, contrasting two very different approaches to human health. On the one hand, you have standing before clinics, which represents our modern, often super expensive, and highly reactive medical model. Basically, you wait until you have a painful stone, and then you scramble to fix it. On the other hand, the text presents standing before God, or the act of prayer and prostration, as completely free, proactive biological maintenance. The source essentially argues that human organs were intentionally designed with this specific movement in mind. It suggests that maintaining our biology through this spiritual practice is inherently just easier and more natural than relying on medical interventions after the damage is already done.
To really underscore this connection between the physical body and the spiritual practice, Dr. Jailan's thesis points to a verse from Surah Al-Fat. The text highlights how those engaged in devotion are recognized by bowing and prostrating. In the context of what we're explaining today, the source material uniquely merges these two concepts. It suggests that the trace of prostration mentioned here isn't just some physical mark on a person's forehead. According to this biomechanical perspective, the unseen trace of prostration is actually a healthy, completely sediment-free kidney. It's honestly a pretty powerful way to frame physical wellness as a direct byproduct of a spiritual routine.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. Could your daily routine already contain the exact biological maintenance your body needs? Dr. Othman Jailan's thesis on the biomechanics of Sujud really challenges us to look a lot closer at the movements we make, or, the movements we don't make, every single day. It suggests that sometimes the most advanced healthcare solutions out there aren't sitting on a pharmacy shelf. They're found in the simple, deliberate positioning of our own bodies. It definitely makes you wonder what other internal maintenance we might be totally missing out on simply because of how we choose to move. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking those great questions, and I'll see you in the next one.